Hello, you beautiful, amazing people, and welcome back to another episode of Hitting the Bars. Savvy Wavy One, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what's been on my mind lately? I don't know if you
What's
heard
been
the
on your
lore.
mind? Hmm.
So, did you hear about Matt James and Rachel from The Bachelor?
I did hear. I know nothing about them. Like I don't even know what they look like, but I've heard the tea.
Oh, I used to be a big Batch girl, okay? So, basically she won his season. Were still together and they kind of became like influencers where nobody even knew that's how they got famous. They were like big foodie people. So for those that don't know, he posted on his Instagram saying like it was a weird caption. It was like, Lord, save Rachel and I from our sorrows of our breakup.
Yeah,
And it was like
it was
very
bizarre.
religious and it had nothing to do with their relationship. So I think it was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But what it was so shocking was 12 hours before he posted a foodie reel with her. And then literally 12 hours later, he says, we broke up. And she was staying silent. She didn't say anything. And so I wanted to know your thoughts. Like she to this day hasn't said anything. He turned off the comments. He seems like a dick because her sister was going on TikTok commenting on people being like,
Yeah.
it sounds from what the sister was saying, it sounds like he literally broke up or she broke up with him. Someone broke up and he was so bitter and butthurt. He, instead of like being respectful to your partner and like being like, let's wait to publicly announce it and like figure out how we want to, he just like went 3 hours after the breakup and was like, we're
Yeah.
no longer together. Like kind of just screw her over. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on public breakups
Ooh.
online? People that are like
Like
famous online for their relationship. What do you think on that?
I think the politically correct thing to do is wait a little, process a little bit alone, don't go right to social media, and then do like a joint statement. You know what I mean? It's so cliche, but I do think that's like the most respectful thing, or at least let your partner know. And it's like you do have to eventually tell if you're going to publicly talk about your relationship, like you kind of do. Otherwise, it's just a little bit weird. Like if you don't talk about your relationship, I think you don't owe anyone. But if you're public, but like him to do that, I know nothing about this man. I know nothing about her. Like I don't even know what they look like. I just heard the tea about it. I'm like, it's definitely giving. He wants to get back in the market as fast as possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're not respectful to your ex or like you're super butthurt, but like my rationale, like he's doing that. He's just like the faster the world knows it's single, the faster I can start dating. So that is what an outsider with no knowledge thinks of that situation.
Yeah, I just think there's like this weird moral compass that I'm fighting with of like when somebody's publicly dating someone,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really think they owe you anything because like at the end of the day, they're public, but like you don't know who they are as people. They're characters in a way, right? But then I'm like, well, I want to know what happened. Like think of your favorite influencer and they broke up and you're like, but
Yeah.
why? Right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
then I morally also like understand it's none of our goddamn business, just like it's none of your business if your friend broke up with her boyfriend, right?
Totally. Oh yeah.
Like you know that song "How Did It End" by Taylor
Yeah.
Swift? It's like all about how did she get in this situation again where she's breaking up, and she talks about how like someone saw her at the grocery store. It's like a metaphor, and she's like walking around and they're like, oh no, it happened again. How did it end? And then she's like, oh, they go home. They're like, we won't tell anybody except all of our friends. Like, it's like weird because it's like private, but it's also not private. And I don't know. I just was like wondering what your thoughts were because some people fight on TikTok being like, they owe us an explanation. And then others are like, they don't owe you anything. And I think I stand with, they don't, I would love to know, but they don't owe us anything because I don't think my close friend would even owe that explanation
Fully.
to me, right?
I guess I should say one little correction, because like I don't know how these people are. If you're just dating someone and you're public online, doesn't mean you owe anyone anything. I think, like, do you know what I mean? But I mean, like, if you're, I'm thinking more of like if your whole Instagram is like you too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the difference. I'm like, if your whole thing is your relationship, you're like a relationship TikTok, you know, those kind of ones. And like, especially because they're Bachelor Nation, I feel that's like a whole different thing. I'm like, people are going to ask, so you might as well tell. Otherwise, it'll be really weird one day where you're just dating someone new and you post it. So it's almost like that. Otherwise, it's a bit of like, that's why I'm like, you don't really owe it. Otherwise, it's just, you just have to understand people are going to be like, was it what? And I guess people can put two and two together. So I think you don't really
True.
owe anyone anything. and people are smart enough to know, like, oh, she's with someone new, that meant they broke up, and they don't really owe it to you. But the one exception is if your whole Instagram is you and your couple. I'm like, yeah, you wanted to make your whole thing your relationship.
Totally. And people are like, I feel like people also don't like even give an example, you and Megs or Michael and I, they don't like when you don't include them a lot, because then they're like, oh, they must have broken up. She hasn't posted about him or posted his hand or his hockey, right? Like, I've literally gotten people being like, I haven't seen your husband in a while. Did you get divorced? And I'm like, first off, that would not be your business. But second off, no, I actually like have said this and reiterated it so many times, being like, you never really will see him, because I think that's like healthy for me to not have that. Like, I like I like having my own individuality. And like, if that happened, I think I'd be like open about that kind of thing, in the sense of like, that's how you can move on. But I hate how people if it's not public, they're like, oh, you guys must have issues. And then if it's public, then they're like, oh, well, they're showing it, they must have issues. Where I think the healthiest relationships are the ones that are kept offline. And like, that's just what I prefer, is like, I don't want my husband to seem like something I have to like film, you know? I don't want to be known for that. I want to I love him and support him, but like, you draw a line morally as well at some point, don't you think?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, people are going to hate it either way. Like, if you don't say it, people are going to be like, we want to know. And if you do post it, people are like, why would you post it? So people are going to, so just do what works for you, whether it be just like people privately, do you know what I mean? Smaller, just friends and family, or publicly. I'm like, just whatever gives you peace. And do you know what I mean?
Well,
like, and
think of Gains by Brains. Like,
do
you follow Gains by Brains?
I do, yeah. I just don't know what exactly you're referencing.
Oh, she got engaged. And I was like, I'm like, you've been with this guy since you were in middle school? Like, she's somebody that like kept it secret. Yeah. Or even like Alex Rice, she shows her boyfriend a little bit, but like being friends with Alex in real life, I got to know her boyfriend, and I just think it's so funny, because I'm like, nobody would know that you're dating this guy. And like, now she's like pretty open about it, but she was the same way with Gains by Brains. They both were like, we just kind of want to be known for us, and like, if we can include him, awesome, but like, it's more of just easier that way. Yeah. But I was like, oh my God, when Gains by Brains was like, I'm engaged, I was like, yeah, you are, girl. So fun.
I loved it. I was like, I didn't even know you were dating. That was fun. That was honestly, and I loved it.
And then she's like, middle school. I'm like, what?
Right? I'm like, honestly, props. She does everything right. She's just a queen. She does everything right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, do you have a hot take?
My hot take is protect your peace. On that, I didn't have a hot take, but I was like, you know what? Just realize, I just threw that out there. We're talking about relationships and all that, and I think sometimes, whether it be, I just think of like personal accounts, big accounts, like you can post anything you want. It's fun to post things, but sometimes it's nice to have some things just for you, and you don't have to post it, and a little bit offline, like that's the new luxury. Not posting. That's the new luxury. There's my hot take.
That was an interesting hot take.
I just went. I was like, I think I heard a TikTok about it before, and I just totally ripped it from there. And you just said it. I was like, oh, I didn't have a hot take, so I just butchered it.
I like it. There you go.
There you go.
Great summary. Okay. Well, my last one then, because I did the homework assignment, was I'm not getting baby fever. I'm getting dog fever. And it always comes around every 6 months. And I was scrolling on like Saturday morning. Michael's still asleep. I wake up at the crack of dawn, and I'm like scrolling, and I see the cutest doggy that like it was so adorable. It was in Orange County, sadly, so that's kind of far. But it was this adorable little pit bull that like just was fostered for the day, and like they took him along the day and like gave him toys, and he was like, oh my God, he has a toy and like food. And I was like, that is so cute. And I sent it to Michael while he was sleeping and been like, I want one. And then when he woke up, I was like, can we get him? And he's like, oh, you want a dog, don't you? And I'm like, there's so many stray dogs here that that are fostered at the moment. There's more stray dogs in Puerto Rico than humans. Isn't that crazy? And that so because there's no predator on the island. Yeah. So there's no predator on the island. So I was like, that's why we have so many dogs. And I think this year I may be adopting a little foster doggy because I don't know. I think Bentley might be mad at me, but I don't have the fever for it. I just have a fever for another doggy to give them a good life, snuggle them up, just make sure they feel loved.
I love that. I fully support this. I fully support it.
Thank you. I'm just like, do I want to take on the responsibility? That's the question now.
I mean,
because Bentley's like a cat. He's like he is so low maintenance. He is quite literally a cat. Where I'm like, I can't imagine if it's a real dog that's like requires attention all the time. Where Bentley's just like follows me around, sleeps. If he gets walks in, he's happy. Old man now.
Yep. You never know. The new one will be one of those ones. You just have to give undivided attention all the time. But maybe you'll enjoy that.
True. All right. Well, should we get into our episode today? And it is, I thought I'd do 10 ways to stay motivated during the winter season. I'm saying this because this is a time where everybody thinks it's too cold. It's no longer glamorous for Christmas, Thanksgiving. It's kind of the depressing era of winter. And just like 10 little tips we thought and ways that would just kind of help you stay motivated, because people always are like, winter arc, winter shred, right? But then like a month after New Year's resolutions, they're like, and then they just like stop pursuing it. My goal is to keep you guys from hitting that plateau and hitting that burnout and being like, you know what, I can work towards something for the winter. So like, I feel like I hit my goals in the summer. Does that make sense?
Yep. Love it.
Okay. So the first one is set seasonal goals. So I think what we need to do is make it a little bit more bite-sized, and it doesn't have to be a physique goal. It could be something that's like achievable in the winter with like what you have. Whether it's competing for a 5K, but if you don't like running in the snow, you're going to have to alter it. Maybe it's hitting a new PR, which is a personal record for how, heavy you want to squat, something like that. Or mastering a new exercise. Like people lately I've been seeing, they've been like trying to practice their handstands, maybe their mobility, something you can easily do anywhere, like even if you get snowed in. What do you think?
I love that. And I also like the idea of making your goals the progress. And say your goal is this summer to run a 5 kilometer. The reality is like, or even if it's to look as, you just want to feel most confident in a bikini, or you want to master some kind of move. The reality is like, assuming you're in a cold climate, is like you won't really get to see the benefits or like your progress for like 6 months because you won't be on vacation, you won't be in the race till then. So kind of reverse engineer and make like a smaller goal, in the sense of like, if your goal is to run a 5K, have your goal in January, February, March, whenever you decide it to be, is to like run twice a week, and that be the goal. And like have the goal be like a semi goal that leads to a bigger goal. And then that way you feel really accomplished, you achieve your goal, and if you continuously do that, it leads to a bigger goal. So instead of being like, my goal is to run 5K, it's like, no, my goal is just to run a couple times a week, instead of like having, if that makes sense. It's just a nice little way to reframe it and like get that satisfaction of completing a goal in the middle of the winter months. Yeah.
For mine, I had wrote, like, when I was in college, I went to a school that was like, we had wind chill freeze warnings. There was no Uber back then. I was walking to the gym. Okay. So what a huge goal of mine was to work out at least 5 times a week. Even though it was snow, like even though I had to walk in the snow with my snow boots, like it was a huge thing that was like non-negotiable 5 times a week. If I don't get it during the weekdays, I at least have 2 days on the weekends I could get there. What else am I doing on the weekends? I can only study for so much. I can only party for so long. So it doesn't have to also just be like a progress. It could just be like an accountability thing, because wintertime you're going to be depressed, most likely, of like seasonal depression and being like, oh, I don't want to get there. If you make your goal being like, at least non-negotiable, I can get there 3 times a week, and like hold yourself to it, I think that's like a consistent bite-sized goal.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. 2 is be realistic with your gym time and set it as an appointment. So 2 things. I think a lot of the times people claim, and I was guilty of this, where I was like, I'll go in the morning. I remember I signed up for a yoga class. I paid for it. My mom paid for it because I was in college, right? And it was like $20 for the semester to go to yoga at 6 a.m. Did I ever go to that yoga class? No, not once did I go. it's, if you know you're not a morning person, why the hell are you trying to do that? Like, I'm all about like challenging yourself and trying to fix your routine. But if you know it's dark and cold and you keep hitting snooze, then it's your responsibility to hold yourself to that standard of, then I'm going to go later, right? So like in the winter months, I knew I didn't like going in the morning, obviously, because I never went to yoga. So I just made it a point that I would go after work. And that was like my non-negotiable of like, I set it as an appointment, put it in my Google Calendar once I got off of school. And like, I think I worked till 6 p.m. I'd walk myself to the gym. And that's where I say also set it as an appointment. And like, obviously, depending on how busy you are, we all have such different lives. We have 9 to 5s, we have kids. So it might be flexible. It doesn't mean you have to make it to the gym. If it's, easier time-wise to do it at home, that's awesome. If it's just a bite-sized workout on YouTube, that's amazing. But just don't burn yourself out going in the morning if you know you hate morning workouts, right?
I love that. And then I'll give a little hack. Say you're someone that you aren't a morning person, but you want to become a morning person. That's the goal. You want to start working on the morning. That's the only time you can, but you have no energy, motivation. Here's my little hack is you just go and lift a 1-pounder body weight squat. You go, and for the first couple weeks, absolutely zero effort. Like you're going through the motions. You're being lazy, zero effort to the gym. And like, there's something about that. Like, it's not that hard. You're like, oh, I'm just going to stretch a little, do all that. And this funny thing happens. Once you get there, you get some endorphins in, you get it going. And the first few times, maybe that's all you do. You just curl a 1-pounder. But eventually you'll be like, this isn't too bad. I'll do a bit more. And before you know it, you're on that routine of going in the morning. Your sleep's better. And like, it didn't seem that hard. And then before you know it, it's a habit.
I mean, you're a big morning gym girl. Are you when you're in Sweden?
Yeah. So I'm a 5 a.m. year round now kind of
Did that
wake
come
up
natural
person.
to you?
No, not at all. So that's why I was like, it definitely things come natural and there's some science behind it. But like I was a night owl for the longest time in my life, like especially bartending and sports, like everything was 7 p.m. And like I used to train in the evening and I loved that. And like I used to love editing into the late hours and all that. And then I realized though, for my creativity, my energy, work, it's so much better for me to wake up really early, get my workout in, not be like rushed. Do you know what I mean? Like not be like, oh, I just have to get in and my whole morning be super stressed. I'm like, if I get up at 5 a.m., I can enjoy my coffee, have a little bit of morning routine, get to the gym, do a full workout, get ready, get to the office by 9, have everything, and then have a full day and feel energized. And yeah, so it works. It works for me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. 3 is invest in cold workout weather gear. Because I catch like, maybe it's snowy, it's cold, you hate running outside. You're like, I'm just going to wait till spring, summer. Why not just get some winter workout clothes so you can try and run outside or go for a walk outside, right? Like it's still great to get fresh air. I gave kind of the example, my mom still runs outside in the winter and she just made sure she like layers up. She has like a specific beanie to help her with her ears, like wears gloves, and it's just, you're trying to like eliminate the excuses in the winter. And that is sucky. I totally get it. I hate running outside when it's cold, but like if you can just like invest in little things that make you excited to do it and like feel a little bit more comfortable, that's like a good way to get yourself to get out there in the winter.
Love it. I'm going to use the Swedish saying, there's no bad weather, just bad clothes. And that's kind of the saying here. And like, it's true. You can run and like, obviously someone's going to be like, when it's 50 degrees below, we're not talking that. But for the average weather, it's like, you can make it work in any. It's just you have to educate yourself on how to dress for that weather. Like running, you need to learn what a base layer is, a mid layer, an outer layer is. And like once you kind of learn just the basics of how to stay warm and not overheat, it's quite enjoyable. Like I'm not someone who enjoys being cold at all, but I've like built a winter wardrobe from just like learning about like quality materials, like merino wool, having like I invested in like a quality base layer and a quality outer layer, and just having those two pieces and a pair of warm shoes with traction. Boom, any weather, come at me.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, I feel like if anybody is catching themselves being like, but as they hear us talking, that's on you, girlfriend. That's not on us. And like, granted, there are some people that are like, I hate the cold. I will not do that. Good for you, girl. Then you got to figure out a different way to do an indoor workout, right? Like, no excuses today.
I was like, I'm from Edmonton in northern Sweden. So I was like, I don't want that. It's cold. It's dark. No, unless you're at the North Pole, you're probably not more north than me.
Yeah. Even at the North Pole, people still got to work out.
They still got to get outside sometimes.
4 is bring your gym clothes to work or school. So I say this because don't give yourself the option to go home and there's a couch with a cozy fireplace that's tempting you, because you won't go. Yeah. That was something I would always bring my gym clothes to school and work, because literally the few times I forgot it and I would go home, I would just somehow, fallen into my bed. And then I'm like, I don't need to go. And I was just talking to a one-on-one gal, and she was saying, I was like, okay, let's find out when you can go to the gym. She's like, I hate the mornings. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go after work. She's like, okay, yeah, I think I could do that 3 times a week. I got to go home though and grab my stuff. And I said, don't do that. No, don't go home. I said, bring the snack, bring the clothes. If you go home, you're never getting there. And I asked her, and she was like, yeah, I just brought it to work. And it's not that hard, guys. It takes 5 minutes to change out of your gym clothes, bring an extra bag to put your other clothes in, and make your little wander there. I think it's so easy. Even now, like, I will, if I need to get something done, I'll go to the gym, and then instead of going home, because I know I'll get distracted and not go do what I need to do, I just shower at the gym, and then I just go about my day, leave the gym clothes in until I need to wash them. Like, it's just don't give yourself an option to fall into that temptation.
I love it. And try and find and if you're like, oh, my gym's out of the way, try and find a gym that makes it convenient. It's on your way.
Yeah, totally. 5, work out with a friend. Now, I feel like mixed feelings on this, because sometimes friends can also be struggling, and then that might go into you, but it could be a good way to like inspire each other to show up and like hold each other accountable and call each other out when you need to. And you might also learn your independence doing this. If you do have a friend that falls off, at least you learn that you really valued it. You weren't just doing it because it was trendy or something to do with her. If you really cared to value your time with your workouts, you would still go regardless of the person.
Love it. And the accountability, I know you kind of said at the beginning with like your mom paying for the yoga and you didn't go, so it doesn't work. You can end up wasting money, but fitness classes are good for that, because you're like, I paid $30, I'm not going to waste it. So that's like accountability can be a friend, or it can be like a financial accountability. So just think of ways like that, external forces.
Yeah. 6 is try new activities. So try like seasonal workouts. Like there is snowshoeing, skiing, hiking, indoor rock climbing. I'm giving up Pilates for a bit. I think I was like getting like a little jaded on like the repetition of it. I was getting like kind of tired of that. So I am going to do boxing with my friends. Ooh, and one of my friends, he's a boxer, and I messaged him being like, hey, what are your thoughts? He was like, absolutely, would love to train you guys. And I just thought it was something different to try for the winter. Like, it's madness if you just keep going to the same thing. So try something. You can do it with your friends. And who knows, if you hate it, then you hate it. But at least like it gives you an excitement. Like, I'm excited to try something new. Where Pilates, I was just getting tired of it. And it's nothing on Pilates. It's just I need a break, right?
Yeah. Here's a great winter activity that will grow your booty like no tomorrow. Figure skating, ice skating, just some kind of skating. Oh my God. How much glute force that takes. So what a fun way to get your glute workout in. Go skating.
That's so fun. I love that. All right, 7, focus on nutrition. So I feel like, in the winter comes sickness, which is very normal. And I take a lot of feedback from the girls I train of like, what are they struggling with? And like, how can I help this? And this is a big thing, is people will get sick. It takes them out a week, maybe 2 if it's really bad. And they feel like, oh shoot, like I wasn't able to do this. I might as well just give up altogether because the progress isn't there. Like, that's not true. Like, you're obviously, if you miss a couple days, your body is not going to punish you. Just like if you eat crazy for a couple days, it's not like you come home and you've gained 5 pounds. Like, that's just not how our body works. It takes consistency to change, and you could either be consistent with not going to the gym, and then you'll change, or you could be consistent going to the gym, right?
Exactly.
And so a huge thing that my gals will say is that when they get sick, I'm like, hey, that is okay. Go for a walk if you feel up for it, but if not, just focus on your nutrition. We forget that nutrition is like 80% of like what our goals are, and like that sometimes is like the big elephant of, oh, I just need to kind of get more in lock with my nutrition. Why can't you focus on that when you're sick? Or why can't you focus on it when you aren't able to access the gym for a week. Like, that's still something that's valuable that we need to work on. That's not just like physically moving.
I love that. And like a lot of big things this time of year, low energy, and just make sure you're feeling yourself properly. I think that's a big thing. Make sure, because the more you feel yourself, the more energy, the better your workouts, the better your results.
Love it. All right. 8 is use a reward system. Now, I am a big reward girl. I am like a dog. So I need to treat myself. So like to something you enjoy. It doesn't have to be, you could buy a nice hot coffee. But if you're like, you know what, I'm tired of spending $7 on a coffee, you could do like a cozy self-care night where maybe you hit 4 days a week at the gym because you stuck to your fitness plan. And then on Friday night, you're like, you know what, I'm going to binge Vampire Diaries on my rest day and like do a face mask, whatever it may be. Yeah. But like, there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself. Like, I'm going to go to Costco. It's annoying. It's 30 minutes away. Then I got to go to Costco, shop. Then it's 30 minutes back. It takes a long time to do it. And I reward myself with, I always get a little sweet treat before it. That's just
love it.
What I do. Yeah.
I love it. I have a storage room in my building, and I have to walk past it to take out the trash. So I leave a thing of candies in my storage room because I know if I go take out my trash, I get a candy. So sometimes that's being an adult. Yep. It's what motivates me to take out the trash. What kind of candy are you leaving? Just like a box of chocolates, and I go down. I'm like, because it takes me 10 minutes to drag massive bags of garbage to that because it's in a different building. So it's so exhausting. So I was like, on the way, you get candy, and then I do.
That is brilliant.
Yep.
I love it.
We're all children. We're all children.
Someone's like, why do you got a box of chocolates there, Keltie? And you're like, oh, it's for me when I take the trash out.
I'm so embarrassed if anyone ever catches me. They'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't worry about it.
You're getting the heart-shaped ones for Valentine's Day because they're on sale. They're just stuck in that.
For sure. There's probably Halloween ones still in there.
That's hilarious. I love that. Okay, 9, plan workout classes like Keltie was saying. That costs you money because you know what? A lot of us are motivated by finances. So if you are spending $30 on a workout, you better get your butt there. And it is, you know what's so like shocking sometimes? Because I do the Pilates. And some of my friends, if they're like, I'm in my luteal, I don't feel up for it, they'll like literally cancel. But the way that I would like be on my period, having cramps and still make it because I wouldn't want to get charged. Yeah. I'm like, it's funny how some people are not driven by that. And they're like, oh, it's fine. And I'm over here like, it literally, if I broke my arm, I'd still go. Like, I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yeah, that's what you have to know. You aren't accountability with like friends. You like working on your own, but money. So it's knowing what works for you. Do you use friends? Do you use money? Figure out what your accountability is.
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least is cozy up your weekends for fitness. So this is something I like to do where a lot of people, they're like, I'm really busy during the weekdays. Totally get it. We have prior commitments. We have jobs. Maybe you don't want to get up early because your job is exhausting. It's a 12-hour shift as a nurse. Then say you don't want to stay late to work out because you're tired. You just want to relax. Your brain power's all gone, right? Well, hello, you've got the weekends, right? Or you've got whatever your days are off. I consider them your weekends. Why not like romanticize that? And like, I love going to the gym on the weekends because I'm not pressured. Nobody is bugging me. I don't have this like underlying like, oh my gosh, I got to go back and do X, Y, and Z for work. I'm like, it's like a self-care day where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to my fun cardio and lift. And then I'm in a sauna. And then after I'm going to go get a coffee at the beach. Like you can like, you know, hit it up, go to a class with friends and then go to get brunch or get coffee or read a book in a coffee shop. Like your weekends are like how you spend your free time. So like, why not? You got 2 days right there that you have off, whether it's an actual weekend or not. Why not try and fit that in for an hour?
I love it. Saturdays are me and my girlfriend's day. We plan like one workout class and it's like our fit day. It's like something to look forward to in the week. We get to see each other, social, we're accountable because we have to spend money on it and friends. And so it's kind of all those habits in one. And it's like romanticized this like active girl day, like romanticize it. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, ooh, we're a Pinterest board come to life Saturdays. Like you have the time to make it pretty and enjoyable unlike Mondays.
Totally. And if you aren't like, you know, out, say your Friday night, you're hungover from partying, then Saturday I could see where you're like, you know, you're going to watch Netflix, whatever. But then you got Sunday. you've always at least got a day that you can, unless you're in your party girl phase, which that's totally fine too. But if you're not, like, you got at least a day. Yeah. But those are the 10 tips I thought that we would share. With that being said, do not forget to leave a review, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and write in a confession session or a question. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.